Kwa kuwa hasidi hana sababu, tarehe 30 mwezi Novemba mwaka huo, siku moja kabla ya mazishi ya wazazi wake, msaidizi wake mwingine alivamiwa na kuumizwa vibaya nusura aage dunia.
Sometimes when somebody want to break you, they go for some of the people you rely on to make you feel the pain, because when they want to weaken you, they first of all they clip your wings. So like they thought that was one of the reliable people who I rely on in Kisumu. He's a trade unionist, my friend Ismail. And they targeted him. That was meant to distract me before the burial, such that when you think of burial, you have something to disorganize. You are thinking you've lost another very reliable friend that evening. So fortunately, he also survived that attack in Kisumu. And you remember they waited for him at his residence when he was driving in.
Lingine ambalo lingestajabisha ingelikuwa katika makafani ya Kisumu, lakini njama yake ilitibuliwa. Hili lilitendeka alipokuwa amekimbia kwa mazishi ya mmoja wa wafuasi wake sugu, Kasisi Olero, aliyeaga dunia baada ya kuzirai aliposikia wazazi wa Aduma wameuliwa. Mazishi yake yakashabihiana na kuondolewa kwa maiti za wazazi wake katika makafani kwa minajili ya mazishi siku iliyofuata. Anasema maiti ziliondolewa halahala bila yeye kuwepo na basi kuvuruga mpango wake.
Now I would confess, maybe if I was there, maybe those parents could not have been buried as had been planned. I would confess to you the things which would have happened in Kisumu. Maybe there would be no these other subsequent deaths. Yeah. Because something would have happened which would have been more historic. So I think maybe the intelligence knew that. That is why they facilitated those bodies to be removed before my arrival.
But you've just explained you had another funeral to attend, so that is the reason why you are not in the morgue.
No, I would have been there. They removed the bodies. I think they monitored me on phone when I was getting into Kisumu. They removed the bodies. But I would confess today, because now time is a healer and we are now healed, that at that time I was ready to die to be buried with my parents. Yeah, I would have been buried with them that same day. They were being buried. Yeah, so that was my feeling then, and I didn't share this with any family member.
So who authorized the removal of the bodies?
They used one of my friends there who was very close to me. They knew there's some people you rely on who when he speaks, they think it's me speaking. I had a friend there from Bondo who just told them to remove the body, because I think they're also not sure what the reaction in Kisumu would have been. But I'm sure it would have been something which would be unprecedented. I was planning to take those bodies from the mortuary to the PC to go and see them, because I believed that to the PC's office, because I believe the government was responsible for that, and these were not politicians. I was with the acting DC for Nyakachi, and I was with the acting DCIO. So we took the body together. It is them who took the body from the hospital, yes, to Kisumu.
And they knew the body was going to be dumped at the regional coordinator's office?
I don't know whether they knew that. Yeah, because we had wanted to report, because the regional coordinator had found it difficult coming to visit Nyakachi to see the situation. So we wanted him to make it easy for him.
So what happened? On news, what we only have is when the body was taken there, and then the 2 arrows that were lodged in the body. Eventually, how was the situation resolved that afternoon?
The family left the body there in protest. And then the body was taken to the Nyanza morgue by the police, yeah, on the instruction of the regional coordinator. Okay. I'd already gotten intelligence. I told you, I usually, whatever I do, whatever action I take, first of all, I undertake due diligence. I don't rush into matters. Any decision you'll see me make. So I'd already gotten intelligence, and then it filtrated the crime network around Nyakachi and beyond. And I'd shared that with the intelligence. And they told us, give us time, we also do our investigations, and we meet after 2 weeks. So we met even with the regional coordinator then, and he told me whatever information had been given were quite true. And those are the people who are indulging in this. And at that time, I did not know how these people conduct their business. I would know which home they are going to meet before any operation. I would know which home they are going to attack. So I shared that with the police, but there was no action. So I got a bit infuriated then. That is why when that body was delivered by our people to the pieces of
Masaibu ya Aduma mwaka 2013 hayakukomea hapo. Miaka mitatu baadaye, tarehe 10 Septemba mwaka 2016, wavamizi walishambulia tena boma hilo na kuteketeza magari yake mawili pamoja na gala.
So I think it was also schemed because the vehicle which was touched here was the vehicle which I was traditionally using. It was my trademark in the constituency. And we had set it ready for the campaigns. It was here. So when that happened, I think that was also meant to frustrate my campaigns and also to scare.
Mbunge Aduma alikuwa amekosana na meneja wa hazina ya maendeleo ya eneo bunge lake Bernard Omondi, ikawa ni vita vya maneno.
Yes, there were 3 people we suspected who were behind that, but with the blessings of certain government agencies then.
Lakini Omondi alimpuzilia mbali mjumbe na kudai kwamba tukio hilo lilikuwa mbinu ya kupumbaza umma kufuatia kifo cha mwalimu mkuu wa shule ya wavulana ya msingi ya Nyabondo, George Otieno, aliyekuwa amejitoa uhai na kudaiwa aliacha waraka uliomtaja mbunge na watu kadhaa kwamba walihusika na masaibu yaliyokuwa yanamhangaisha.
Is there no school in Nyakach which George could have gone to? If we are to be eliminated, Bernard Omondi Owuko, if Aduma has to eliminate me because of my stand against George's death, then so be it. I will stand and will carry that mantle. I'll be so happy. But I believe that I can't be killed by reckless people like Aduma.
The teacher who committed suicide is already dead. He cannot come out and do something like this. So I don't want to comment on the issue of the teacher who is already dead. Whatever allegations he could have said against me, I cannot case with him because he is no longer existent.
Aduma hakuwa mgeni kwa masuala tata. Mwaka 2011, hata kabla ya kuwania kiti cha ubunge Nyakach, akiwa mfanyikazi wa baraza la jiji la Nairobi ukumbi wa City, alitumiwa bahasha iliyokuwa na risasi ndani yake na watu wasiojulikana. Akalichukua kama onyo kali dhidi yake.
The Director of Legal Affairs also had threats when I was sent even live ammunitions in the office. So these threats have always been there. And I also want to say that what happened here were not the only thing. I was not a politician, but I was holding a sensitive office. And remember, I was the first person from Western Kenya to hold that office. It had never previously been held by anybody else. There's only one community which had held that office. So I was the first one. And now maybe I was opening avenues for many people. Yeah. Running the department with a liberal mind. So there are people who thought I would be a coward if they intimidate me. Maybe I would now even shy away from my...
Receiving a parcel, you open and there are live bullets.
What I did, I just reported to the police and I left them to deal with it. Yeah, but they've never reverted to me to date.
Ni matukio yote haya ambayo kwa jumla labda yanasimulia kwa nini mbunge huyu anaishi na kiwewe kingi, hata kumfanya wakati mmoja kutumia gari la kubeba maiti kama namna yake ya usafiri.
You know, the things which travel in us are things which are dreaded by the people, things which people don't like. So when they see us coming with even a siren, roads are cleared for you. You move fast even when you are late.
Were you being driven? Were you driving it yourself? And
I would drive it because it was a special car. It was a tour van. Yeah, it was a special kind of bus for camouflage.
How to reorganize? You don't trust anybody. In fact, you might even doubt yourself at this rate.
I cook even my own food when I'm at home or in Kisumu. Sometimes it is fun doing that because I want to lead the ordinary life. Yeah, you can see very little has changed on me. I've always been that humble person. I've led the same life I led before I was elected into this position. Even my residents in Kisumu, I would tell you that when I went to Safaricom and we got some of these suspicious numbers, we learned that most of them were concentrated around my residence in Kisumu. When I was staying in Okore Estate, we had a family house in that place. So most of the action, but they found it difficult attacking me in Kisumu because there would be no justification. So I prayed there in the house, we prayed kwa hiyo mama.
Sasa ni miaka 12 tangu mauaji ya kikatili ya wazazi wake. Kiongozi huyo anasema hajawahi kuandaa ibada ya makumbusho au kuketi chini kuzungumzia kwa kina janga hilo kwa familia yake. Tulimuuliza, je, amekuwa akimudu hali vipi?
We've moved on. We are moving on. Sometimes I know it is still painful. Sometimes once in a while it crosses your mind. And even the children, sometimes you see like my children, when they come here, they would still be traumatized by those events. They would not be comfortable. If I'm not here, they cannot come and spend here alone. I cannot be comfortable. You see, when you're in politics, the reason why we are given security, or when you're elected even as a president, you can see the security of the president symbolized as national security. So when you are also MPs, the people would not be comfortable and the people think differently. So there are people who might think of arming you just like happened to my friend in Kasipul. So somebody has to be cautious and you can be infiltrated. Sometimes you cannot defeat an enemy you don't understand. So our opponents, like now, I would say that I would almost be the longest serving MP. I would be second to none since independence. If God would protect me to do the 15 years, who is being elected popularly by the people. And I've also a desire to run for the gubernatorial seat. If the constitution still stands to what it is, and if our current governor will not now be able to run at the close of his second term. So I will put my bid on ODM. So I've seen a few functions I have in Kisumu where you would be targeted. People would bring chokoras, give them money. I know there have been many planned attacks against me. But sometimes I believe that sometimes you rest it with God. All those planned attacks have never succeeded. Yeah, but I know they are there.
Haya ndo makaburi mawili yanayopatiana taswira kamili ya janga lililokumba familia ya Owuor usiku wa Novemba 7 mwaka 2013. Majangili walipovamia boma, kuteketeza nyumba na kuua wazazi wa mbunge wa Nyakach Joshua Aduma Owuor. Miaka mitatu baadaye, majangili vile vile wakavamia